And she's amazing. I love everything about Precious. She's funny, she's smart, she's brassy, she's got red hair, brassy, sassy, brassy, brazen, puts it out there. And I'm so excited that I get to host a show that she's on because I just did her podcast and now you get to do my show. Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
Yay, let's keep doing that. I'll do your podcast next and then you come to the show again next month. Okay, come on up, Precious Strong. Get up here. Show them what you've got. And plug anything that's on right now. Your podcast.
Oh yeah, my
Sex
podcast.
And the Single.
Sex and the Single Parent.
Watch it. Listen to it.
Watch it, listen to it,
All
podcast.
All right.
Yeah, Megan was on it. She was a great guest.
Aww.
Guys. Okay, you know those days where you're just like, okay, I have to do this, and then I have to do this, and then I have to do this. This is my last thing. Yay! So earlier today, I was doing something I was dreading. I'm going to put this here. So I do stand-up, but I also am an actor. And so my agent has this friend of hers. Her name is Lori Dalton, and she's starting this agency for public speakers and keynote speakers and blah-de-blah-de-blah. And she's this like really cute lady who maybe will get me a gig, right? So today she's doing this showcase up in Thornhill, and she invited all these event planners to come to this like afternoon event, and then she had some comedians come and do 10 minutes for these like sort of random people in the middle of the day drinking Tim Hortons coffee. And it was like, you know, you're just like, oh, this is gonna be the worst. What am I getting myself into? I hate this. So I'm like, maybe I won't have to do it. I should cancel. No, I have to go. So I make it there. And it's in an actually kind of a nice like old house, and you know she has like blue tablecloths because that's her like color scheme for her agency, and she has these like balls of like happy and sad because today's the happy day. So it's a little bit of a downer time, but it's a little bit fun. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, this will work. But I'm also like, oh, this is gonna be so bad. You know what I mean? Like my dad's Tommy Chong. I'm gonna talk about drugs. They're gonna hate me. But then I'm sitting there, and this guy sits down next to me, and he has a huge mustache, like a huge mustache on either side, just like a monstrosity of a mustache, like too much. And then I go, oh my God, Stefan. I know the guy with the mustache. This is why. So like 5 years ago, this friend of mine, Leanne, goes, hey, do you want to do stand-up at a nudist colony? The only thing is, you have to be nude too. And I was like, sign me up. Bucket list, check. Right? Anyhow, guess who owns the nudist colony? Stefan! Why would I be scared? I just did stand-up nude in front of other nude people, and the guy who runs the nudist colony, called Bear Oaks, I might add, is sitting down next to me. That's his other business. He has another online business training engineers and architects for their education. How do these people exist? Anyways, so that's why today I was like, I don't need to be afraid of these people. I did stand-up nude in front of other nude people with kids in the audience. There were nude kids in the audience, guys. There was a little boy who sat through my set playing with his penis the whole time. He was about 5, and then he fell asleep. He soothed himself to sleep. Not only that, at the nudist colony, I saw the angriest penis I've ever seen. So angry. It was the angriest, ugliest penis I've ever seen. It looked like, I did not talk about this today, but it looked like a woman, was about to give this guy a blowjob, and she looked at his penis and was so angry about how ugly it looked that she punched it, and it smushed down. It was like, oh, it was such an angry penis. Anyways, so Stefan is there, and I remember Stefan very clearly because his mustache, even though he was nude and wearing TiVos and had a very tan penis, his mustache was way more violating to me than his penis was. So that was my day. But that's not what I was going to talk about. What I was going to talk about was a couple weeks ago, like I said, my dad is Tommy Chong of Cheech and Chong, and my brother said, hey, Precious, do you want to come to LA and do Celebrity Feud? And I said, sign me up, bucket list check. So my family was on Family Feud, you guys. Family Feud. So this is what happens. So I wasn't really thinking about it. I was like, oh, it'll be fun. It'll be kind of kitschy. I get to go to LA and hang out with my friends and get a free ticket, whatever. So we all lost our minds, guys. We all lost our minds. My dad, my two older half-sisters, Raydon and Robbie, and me, and my younger brother, Paris. You don't understand. Going on a game show, it's so much. There's so many lights. They tell you the rules really fast. You think you're going to be cool about it. We watch. The A-type girl in the family says, guys, we should probably watch a couple of the shows so we know what the game is. And they're like, okay. My sister Raydon did not make the rehearsal, but my other siblings did, and my dad, but he was probably too stoned, and he can't hear very much anyway, so he didn't really know what was going on. So we show up really early in the morning at CBS Studios, and like I said, they're telling you all this stuff, all these rules, all this information, but you're not listening. You know what I mean? There's just too much. There's like free coffee, and there's all these PAs, and and you're with your family in this weird circumstance. And we're playing against, I can't tell you who it is because it's airing in the summer, but he's a Laker, and he's a short Laker. So you do the research. So we get out there, and we never meet Steve Harvey until we're on stage, and so you have to do that pose in the silhouette. Remember that? And we're like, what pose are we gonna do? Like, what are we gonna do? And I'm like, should I be cute? Should I be sexy? And my dad's like, should I do pretend I'm smoking a joint? And my brother's like, yeah, pretend to smoke a joint. So we were like doing the whole silhouette, and then they're like, da da da, and then we have to walk down to the podium, and they're like, you have to stand close to the podium, you have to not lean down. There's all these things. So my dad goes up and to do the buzzer, right? Because he's the first one, because he's the dad, and then the short Laker goes up too, and of course the short Laker wins because he's young and can hear, so he gets the buzzer and he answers the question. Then my dad is supposed to answer a question too, because that's how Family Feud works. You say an answer too. But my dad doesn't say anything, just stands there, waiting for them to say cut or something. And then finally it goes, eh. And then my dad goes, what happened? what happened? And we're like, come back. So then he goes back to the podium, and we end up doing really well. Don't post it online, but we end up stealing. Every time they kept winning, but we kept stealing their points because they would get 3 X's, and then we would win. And then my brother, who's like the manager, and he acts like he's all cool, but he got totally into the thrall of the lights and everything. He's like, Precious, why do we have so many points? Why do we have so many points? And I'm like, shut up. And then they come to the part where they're like, they have to talk to you. That's the part I was most nervous about. So they come to my sister. My dad, of course, was hilarious, and Steve Harvey loved him. And Steve Harvey is a force of nature, guys. I thought I would hate him, but I'm like, no, you're amazing. He never knows not what to say. You know what I mean? Like, he is a host that I've never seen. I don't even know how to explain it. It's like he was born to host a game show in every moment of his life. You know what I mean? So he comes to my sister and he's like, hey, Raydon, because my sister Raydon was an actress, a famous actress. So he's like, hey, Raydon, what have you been doing lately? And she goes, getting old. Then he goes to my other sister, Robbie. You have to understand the dynamic of our family. So I have 2 older half-sisters, and Robbie is my other half-sister, and she's the good sister, and Raydon is the evil sister. That's just how it is. So they go to Robbie, and she's not really evil, but she's a little scary. So we get to Robbie, and he's like, oh, Robbie. And she goes, hi, Steve. I think you know my mother, Maxine. She used to work on the radio show that you used to have. And he's like, Maxine Waters? And of course, he falls in love with Robbie, and she's beautiful, and he gives her a big hug, and it couldn't have gone better, you know what I mean? He loves Robbie. Then it gets to me. And I'm like, oh God, this is the moment. You know what I mean? Like, this is my moment, right? This is my 2 minutes of fame. Here it comes. So he goes, hi, so what do you do? And I'm like, I'm an actress and a comedian. And I actually teach stand-up. And I heard that you don't believe you can teach stand-up. What the fuck, Precious? What the fuck did I just say? Okay, you see his face go like blank. And the reason I said this, okay, so a couple of weeks before, I do teach stand-up at Second City. The student came in and goes, hey, I was watching comedians in cars getting coffee, and Steve Harvey was on the show, and he says, oh, I don't believe you can teach stand-up, and it's just stuck in my brain, you know? And I thought about that when I was getting ready to do the show, and I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna say that. That would be weird if I brought that up. You know what I mean? And it was like Tourette's. It was like Tourette's. Instead of saying, oh, I have a podcast, or, oh, please give me a job, or, oh, I'm an actress, hire me. You know, I said the thing that's kind of alienating, mildly aggressive. And he just like kind of, his face glazes over and he goes, well, what I mean to say is I don't think an ordinary person, you know, you can't teach an ordinary person to be funny. And then he goes to the audience, he's like, to this girl, he goes, well, do you think you're funny? And she goes, yeah. So now I have the audience ganging up on him. And he, you know, it's like, well, you teach other comedians to be funny. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess, not really. But, so then we keep going on. I know, it was so awkward. It was so awkward. I'm like, this is why I can't have nice things. So then my brother is meanwhile freaking out. And he goes to so we start to win. And then it goes to sudden death. Do you guys know what sudden death is? So my brother, my cool brother just like, Precious, what's sudden death? What's sudden death? And I'm like, if you had to come to rehearsal and you would know what sudden death was. So we end up winning, guys. We won the whole game. Don't tweet it. Don't tweet it. My sisters did the two things, you know, where you have to like do the answers, and then my other sister came. They fucking killed it. Who knew? My sister Robbie is a huge fan of Family Feud and knows the game really well. And we aced it. We kicked that Lakers ass. And I'm telling you guys, it doesn't matter if you win or lose, but winning is awesome. It's so awesome. And I swear to God, my family has been talking about it ever since. I mean, my dad has been famous his whole life, and I swear to God, it was a life-altering experience for all of us. He hasn't stopped talking about it. And after that afternoon, my dad had to shoot some sketches with Snoop Dogg, and I got to meet Snoop Dogg. And now my life doesn't feel like it has any meaning. Thanks so much, you guys.